The river moved slowly that season, carrying the scent of early dawn across the quiet town of Yan. In that gentle stillness, the Sayadaw sat beneath the shade of an old monastery roof. His breath was calm. His presence was steady. People often came to him in moments when their lives felt tangled, as if his silence alone could ease the weight they carried. That morning, a troubled headman approached, with a husband and wife who could no longer share a peaceful evening. Their quarrels had become a burden to the entire neighborhood. The headman bowed and explained their story, a story shaped by frustration, wasted effort, and dreams that had gone astray. The Sayadaw listened without interruption. He did not rush. He did not judge. He simply received their words as one receives a passing cloud, with patience and clarity. In the couple's struggle, he sensed not only noise, but also longing, a longing for understanding, a longing for peace. Behind their anger there was exhaustion. Behind their choices, there were stories untold. The wife worked hard each day selling sweetmeats, while the husband, once a capable farmer, had abandoned his fields. He had fallen deep into the hope of alchemy. He believed that success would appear because an astrologer had spoken a single sentence into his life. Their savings had disappeared. Their days had become narrow and strained. Their nights ended in conflict. The Sayadaw knew this was not a matter of punishment. It was a matter of seeing clearly again, so he offered not rebuke, but a tale meant to guide their hearts back to simple understanding. He began softly, as monks often do, letting the story rise like a lantern in the dark. The Sayadaw spoke of a village near Mount Popa, a place known for quiet hills and ancient whispers of alchemy. In that village lived a man who spent his days in the haze of opium. His mind drifted between dreams and waking moments, and in those drifting hours he believed that the guardian gods of the mountain would one day bless him with the elusive philosopher's stone. His friends watched him with concern, but also with patience. They saw how deeply he trusted this imagined promise, so they decided to guide him with a harmless trick, hoping that the lesson would settle in his heart more gently than harsh words. One afternoon, as he lay half asleep after his usual indulgence, a friend stepped quietly into his room. Leaning close, he whispered into the dim air, "Keep your eyes shut. I am a guardian of Mount Popa, and I have come to reveal a secret path." The opium eater, caught between dream and waking, did not question the voice. He listened with trembling hope. The whisper continued, telling him of a new kind of alchemy, one unlike mercury, or iron, or runes. He was told to grind a bitter cucumber, mix it with jaggery and salt, and swallow it while holding his breath. If he did so, he believed he would become the first cucumber alchemist. When the haze lifted, he carried the instructions as if they were divine truth. He gathered the ingredients, prepared the mixture, and swallowed it with full conviction. In his mind, the transformation was complete. Feeling reborn, he left his village behind. He dressed in white, believing that those who walk the path of alchemy must live apart from ordinary life. And so, with quiet steps, he journeyed toward the forests near Mount Popa, ready to begin a life shaped entirely by his own misunderstanding. The opium eater reached the woodlands at dawn. Soft light rested on the trees, and the air carried the quiet that only early morning knows. He felt certain he had stepped into a new existence. In his mind, the forest was no longer a place of earth and leaves, but a realm where hidden powers waited to greet him. Yet, just a few moments before he arrived, sorrow had already entered those woods. A young woman, burdened by disappointment and heartbreak, had taken her own life. She had chosen a man her parents had warned her about, hoping marriage would bring her joy. Instead, she met only loneliness and regret. Unable to bear the ache any longer, she walked alone into the forest and ended her suffering beneath a tree. When the opium eater discovered her, he saw not her story, not her pain, not the life she had left behind. His mind, shaped by illusions, told him something entirely different. He believed she was a gift from unseen forces, a fruit-shaped maiden meant for alchemists like himself. He did not recognize death. He saw only a strange blessing. In his confusion, he cut the rope and held the lifeless body with an excitement that came from his own delusion. The forest held its breath. There was no wisdom in his actions, only the tragic result of a mind clouded by desire and false visions. Yet he remained unaware, convinced that he had stepped into a world shaped for him alone. Not long after, voices broke through the trees. The young woman's father, her uncle, and her husband had followed her path with fear and urgency. They ran through the brush, calling her name, hoping they were not too late. When they saw what awaited them, her body in the arms of a stranger, grief and anger rose in them at once. They rushed forward, pulled her away, and struck the opium eater in a burst of pain and confusion. The man staggered back, startled. He did not understand their rage. He did not see the truth of the moment. In his bewildered state, he believed he was surrounded by fellow alchemists far more powerful than himself. "Brothers, brothers," he cried, "you work with mercury, with iron, with runes. I am only an alchemist of cucumber. I cannot compete with you. Take her. Take her." His words, meant in sincerity, revealed the depth of his illusion. He believed that he had simply lost a treasure to others who walked a grander path. The father and the others did not listen. Their hearts were heavy with loss, not with the man's confusion. The scene was a meeting of two worlds, one shaped by grief, the other by delusion. And they could not understand each other. In telling this part of the tale, the Sayador's voice remained steady. He offered no harshness, only a gentle reflection, as if inviting the listeners to see how easily the mind drifts when it loses its anchor in truth. When the Sayador finished describing the confusion in the forest, he looked at the husband and wife before him. His voice stayed calm, steady and warm, as though he were guiding them across a quiet stream. He explained that the opium eater had not been wicked. He had simply allowed his mind to wander until imagination felt more real than the ground beneath his feet. He held tightly to a belief that never served him, and in doing so, he lost sight of the life right in front of him. The Sayador then turned to the husband. "Misunderstanding does not need opium to grow. It can grow from a single idea, repeated often inside one's own heart. It can grow from desire, from stubborn hope, or from the wish to escape ordinary responsibilities." The husband's dream of alchemy was not the problem by itself. The problem was that he had abandoned clarity. He had forgotten the simple work that once sustained their home. He had chosen a path shaped, not by practice or patience, but by a promise he wanted to believe. The wife had carried the weight in silence for too long, and her resentment had begun to harden. The Sayador encouraged her too to see the deeper story. That anger often rises from exhaustion, and exhaustion rises when two people stop moving together. The lesson was not about alchemy. It was about seeing things as they are, not as we imagine them to be. The Sayador reminded them that life becomes heavy when we cling to illusions. The mind can create worlds that feel comforting, but the costs appear slowly: broken trust, quiet frustration, and distance between hearts that once understood each other. He invited the husband to step back into simple work, to rebuild trust one day at a time. He invited the wife to speak from calmness rather than anger, so her words could guide rather than wound. And he invited them both to remember that peace grows from small choices, not sudden miracles. The story of the opium eater was not meant to frighten them. It was meant to show how easily a person can drift when they stop seeing the truth right before them. When a man believes a whisper in his dream more than the needs of his home, trouble follows quietly behind him. The monk paused, letting the silence settle. Then he offered one gentle closing thought. Clarity is not found in distant mountains or hidden secrets. It begins when we open our eyes to the life we already have. The couple bowed. The headman bowed. and the Sayador returned to the quiet of his day as the river moved slowly beyond the monastery walls. If this story brought a moment of calm to your heart, sit with it a little longer. And if you feel guided to, you may subscribe so we can continue walking these quiet paths together.